My name is Ulf Viktorsson. I'm the technical manager at Botkyrkabyggen, and as such responsible for the long-term technical condition of our building stock. And this is not an easy job. On the contrary, it's quite challenging as I have to deal with a complex situation where it is important to balance technical, financial, and social issues in order to ensure function of the technical systems, good living conditions for our customers, and to avoid problems. And also, I have to make the building more and more efficient during the time. As I said, this is not an easy job, and that is why I need your help. Having said that, I will introduce you to the Swedish part of the Nordic Built Challenge. We are the largest housing company in the municipality of Botkyrka, which is a suburb of Stockholm, situated about 30 minutes away, south of the current position by subway. And the object of the competition is this house, which is located in the neighborhood of Fittja in Botkyrka. As many similar neighborhoods in suburbs throughout Europe, the area is considered social difficult. The pictures of Fittja, as it is presented by media, is not the best. Usually the image of the neighborhood given in media is based on stories of poverty, crime, unemployment, and segregation. However, the reality is much more complex. There are really serious problems in the area, but in comparison to other similar residential areas, I would say that it's not quite such a bad neighborhood after all. The Swedish government has suggested that a special tax reduction would be available for companies present in especially social vulnerable areas in Sweden listed by the government. And Fittja is not on that list. So if you visit Fittja, you will notice that it's quite a better neighborhood than it looks like in the media. So basically, the objective of the Swedish competition is this. How do we, in the best way, renovate a typical house in a typical Swedish suburb built during the so-called Million Program era, when a huge number of similar houses were built? We, as a social responsible municipally-owned housing association, want this renovation to be done in such a way that a majority of the existing tenants can afford the new higher rent that most probably will follow upon a renovation. And B, it helps us to solve some of the really big technical issues linked to the fact that the building is nearly 45 years old. And C, contributes to our sustainability efforts regarding carbon footprints, social responsibility, and so on. The technical issues that we soon have to solve regarding this house, as is the case with almost every house built during the Million Program era, is primarily this. The water pipes, where we have a rising frequency of leakage problem, often with very expensive aftermath. The aging waterproofing systems that are starting to leak, often this is paired to mold and other problems. And the sewage systems, although those do not represent a huge acute problem, we predict them to give us problem in a few years. The window frames is starting to leak due to age. and the overall visual impression of the house, both internal and external, is an issue. Some of the apartments in this building is in a quite good visual state, whereas other are more worn down after more than 40 years of usage. The competition has knowingly been restricted by some important boundaries. This is a couple of them. First of all, we will reject any proposal of tearing down the house and then rebuild it. The reason for this is simply put that we are looking for a strategy that can be used in the whole neighborhood, and that I wouldn't have a chance to pass such a strategy based on tearing down the houses through the board. Secondly, we have set a cap on the possible annual revenue after the renovation, which in practice means a 25% rental raise. This is due to the fact that we want the majority of the present tenants to afford it. The prize in the Swedish competition is, besides the obvious prize money, the opportunity to gain the actual contract regarding this renovation. And let me be clear, we would not have participated in this competition if it wasn't our absolute ambition to sign such a contract shortly after this competition. If the winning proposal is good enough, I will sign the deal. But having said that, the really interesting price for the competitor that comes up with a viable solution is of course based on the fact that over 500,000 dwellings in Sweden alone are in urgent need of a solution to the same problem that this house represents. So the market for the winner is truly a huge one. A few facts about the building. The house is one of, I think, 25 almost identical houses in this area, designed by architects, the architect firm Höjer and Ljungqvist, one of the most productive firms in the late 60s in Sweden. The building is typical for the era, built in an industrial manner with a tough time schedule. When we are renovating a building, we are restrained by permission by authorities. One of the most important aspects of this is, especially if we are going to change the external aspects of the building, that we need a permit from the local authorities. This can often be a very time-consuming thing to get. To ease the feasibility of your possible proposals and to ensure that you don't give us proposals that we will have a problem with when meeting conditions, to get the permit from the authorities, we have asked experts to study the conservation value of this building. This study has already been presented to the local authorities with a positive response. And as soon as the translation of this report is ready, which will be in a couple of days, it will be made available on the competition website. A few words about the energy situation in this building. As is the case in many of these kind of buildings, many of the low-hanging fruits has already been picked. As you can see on this diagram, the electricity energy has gone up quite substantially the last years. And the reason for this is that we have installed a heat pump to lower the overall energy consumption. In total, the energy consumption is today around 110 kilowatt hours per square meters, which must be considered low in this type of house. And as you can see on this diagram, we have under a long time worked with a sort of constant improvement strategy with sustainable issues in our stock. But you can also see that the improvement has begun to stall. So we need to take some new, more radical steps to get further. Anyhow, if you're interested in visiting to participate in the competition, more information is available on the competition website, all technical data and drawings and so on. Do you want to see the premises? Please use this contact. We cannot at this stage guarantee you access to apartments in this actual building, as the tenants at this stage is unaware of this competition. However, we will do our best to show you similar apartments in the neighborhood. And finally, I would urge the industry to really participate in this challenge. We as a society is facing a huge challenge in the form of aging houses. I dare not to think about the social costs if we don't solve the technical and financial problems involved in this. And remember, the possible business case, if you can help us solve this problem, is enormous. Thank you.
Thank you, Ulf.
Questions?
That was, yeah, that's what I was just about to say. If anyone has questions, please feel free to ask them, and Ulf will see if he can answer them. No questions?
No?
Okay. There's one there. Yeah.
You said it's not.
Oh.
Thanks. You said it's not possible to tear down the building, of course. No. But how much could you tear out? Could you leave just the construction in all storages, or?
Well, you could, but I would say that is not a feasible thing to do. But if that is your proposal, we will look into it. But I think we will have problems with our local politicians, because if we do that, we have to in a long period move the tenants out of the house. And as the housing situation is in the Stockholm area, there is no place to move them, really.
So rehousing is important for you to avoid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I wonder a bit about what you're meant to hand in by the end of stage 1 and stage 2. So, I mean, how detailed presentation do you expect by the end of stage 1, and how detailed presentation do you expect at the end of stage 2?
Shall I leave that to you, maybe?
Yeah.
Just an overall question, maybe.
Well, there's, I can say in stage 1, it's general ideas, concepts. It doesn't have to be at all implementation ready or anything like that. In stage 2, it will need to be more detail. It still doesn't have to be implementation ready, but it has to be feasible. There's more sort of precise directions in the competition briefs on what you should hand in. So I hope that is answer enough.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, please use the microphone 1 moment.
Hello. A prerequisite, would you say that the tenants should stay in the apartments during the renovation? Is that to say?
No, that's not a prerequisite for the competition. But we hope that if the renovation is based on the fact that you have to move the tenants. We need a solution to that as well. How do we do that?
Which has to be incorporated into the proposal, I guess.
That would be a good idea in a way.
Have you then in the requirements stated how much evacuation possibilities you have within your own building stock? So do you have you already saved some apartments for this kind of renovation evacuation?
We have not stated it in this papers, but the situation right now is that we have nearly no available apartments at all.
Okay.
But of course, if you give us time for we'll say that we have a time schedule of renovating in 4 years or whatever, we could empty some house maybe, but that will cost us as well. Yeah.
And I also have another question, and it's possibly already stated in the documentation, but anyway, is your overall goal reducing CO2, or is your overall goal reducing energy demand, or is your overall goal reducing primary energy? Because you have already converted to a heat pump, which means that you're using a lot more electricity, which is in fact more primary energy than the district heating.
I would say that our primary goal with this competition in general is first of all to renovate this house. As I see it, the energy situation is a secondary object. When it comes to energy, my point of view is that the real thing to do here is to lower the carbon footprint.
Okay, so that's what you have in the third goal with giving credit to your overall environmental goals.
Yeah.
I can perhaps give an answer also that, as you said, the fourth principle of the Nordic Built Charter is that we strive towards zero emission in our built environment. And that is, of course, relates also to adapting to local conditions, because there are very different local conditions and very different local energy resources, etc. So zero emissions are the final goal, and I don't know all the details about the energy supply system in KROGARVÄGEN, but zero emissions
It will take some time, I think.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I think that was it. Thank you very much, Ulf.
Thank you.
Oh.